At Primedy Health Club, one of the most basic functional skills that we teach people is bracing. Bracing is actually something that we should all be using on a daily basis, whether we know it or not. We use it even for some bodily functions. But in the medical industry, it actually has a name called the Valsalva maneuver. You ask any doctor what's the Valsalva maneuver for, and they'll basically say sneezing and pooping, and that's about it. But in reality, the Valsalva is what we're supposed to do to stabilize our midline, or more specifically, our spine, so that way it doesn't shift while under load, because that's the best way to slip a disc or hurt your back. And so very quickly, because we incorporate a lot of weightlifting, bracing is how to keep the spine safe while under load. And so if you are not bracing, you're asking for injury. And if you have no clue what that is, and you are doing manual labor or picking up something, even like a heavy bag of groceries, if you are not using some level of brace, you're gonna get hurt. A long time ago, I had a new member with an initial evaluation who came and said that she had slipped her disc bending over, reaching into her dryer to get her laundry out. Wasn't under load, but just the weight of her body from the repetitive motions with bad form and not bracing adequately took its toll and was enough for her to slip a disc by some just mundane action. And so with the bracing, ultimately, it's very rudimentary, very crude with my cues, but everyone can relate to them. That's why I like them. Step one is you're going to engage your pelvic floor, or as I say, you're going to clench / try to hold in a number two. Cool, got it. Everyone knows how to do that. Step two, you need to breathe in through a straw. If I just take a deep breath, I suck in my belly, and that's not what you're supposed to do with bracing, because now with my belly tucked in, I have all of this room to move my rib cage and collapse down on my abdomen. What I need to do is actually fill my belly with air. That's not literally what's happening, but that is the perceived sensation. So when I breathe through a straw, you'll notice that instead of my belly sucking in, my belly actually expands. And that's what we're trying, because now with this space taken up, it's harder for me to bend, which is the goal. So step one, clench. Step two, breathe through a straw. Then step three, close your mouth and then bear down like you're trying to take a number two. That's why we do step one first, no accidents. So clench, breathe, and then bear down or brace, because that final sensation is what we're going for. And if you do that correctly, and another cue I'll sometimes tell people is imagine someone's about to sucker punch you. Because if you bear down, then with that engages your abdomen so tight that, yeah, if someone were to cheap shot you, still standing, didn't knock the wind out of me. But with that level of tension and activation, I'm now able to support the load using the musculature in my abdomen rather than simply stacking it all on my spine. And because of that pressure, my spine cannot move nearly as well. And the metaphor we use for this is the soda can metaphor. You are the soda can. If I step on an unopened can of soda, it can support the entirety of my body weight, even though it's just a tiny piece of aluminum all the way around that any child could basically bend in half. But the moment you pop the top and let the pressure out, it crumples underneath. The pressure inside of the can, needs to be greater than the pressure being placed on the outside of it, the bar. So if my bar is 300 pounds, I need to be bearing down with more than 300 pounds of force, so when that load is on me, I do not crumple under the weight of the bar. Now, the other beautiful thing about the bracing is that it is very quick to teach and has fantastic results. I had a client who came to me who had gone through weeks of personal training from back pain, specifically when she was trying to get her child out of the crib. And I literally built this recreation so that we could test and teach her the form, and said, when does it hurt the most? She said, I grab my kid, and when I go to lift, that's when it hurts my back. She was extension sensitive. Whenever she would extend, that would trigger her back pain. And I said, okay, here's the deal. I want you to wear this. This is a weightlifting belt. You're not gonna have one at home. You could, but the belt is not the thing that keeps you safe. The belt is the teacher, because when you use the belt, it just helps you activate more strongly. So as I put the belt on, I need it to be nice and tight, so that way when I do my brace, I should hear the Velcro strain. And if I'm doing it correctly, the pressure around the belt increases dramatically. I can perceive that pressure that is inside of me more greatly, and therefore I know what sensation to focus on. So when I brace, I can actually hear the Velcro strain under me expanding inside of the belt. So I had her put on the belt, feel that pressure so that she knew she was bracing correctly. And then I said, here's a 35-pound weight, way heavier than your kid. I want you to try to remove your child from the crib. Did you have any pain? No, actually, I didn't have any pain at all. And literally day one, in maybe 10, 15 minutes, I taught her how to lift her child out of the crib pain-free than after weeks of doing rehab in a professional facility. And it is simply a skill. Many people already have the strength and the physical prereqs to be able to execute the motions correctly. They just don't have the skill, right? It is a user error problem. And unfortunately, we're not being taught those skills early on. And so that's why we lead with the basics before we get to the fun things like squatting and deadlifting and pressing. Because when you're adding load, if no one taught you how to brace, you're setting yourself up for disaster.